you guys don't know, basically what today is gonna be about is this new series I'm gonna be doing. There's a new series called Footsie Fetish, where I go through every element of the Footsie's hand guide. I do 20 games maximum on stream. I don't do any more than that. When I train the Footsie's hand guide, that's actually my maximum number for the day, even when I don't stream, because I want it to be quality games. I don't want to burn out or get frustrated. And on top of that, finding quality players to do it against is it's not really I mean, more often than not I get people I can play it against, but there's some people you play on ranked that just don't care, so you don't ever really get a chance to try it. And then when I play Street Fighter 5, I'm gonna have my notes up. I'm gonna switch between the game and the notes so you guys can see it. And I'm going to type my feedback. So you're going to see some of my notes from yesterday. So basically the structure of the lesson is we read, we start off with the introduction, obviously, let people come in. Tell people what the stream is going to be about, what the series is about. I'm going to remind people every week in case you're new viewers. We're going to go and read the element of the week from the Footsie's hand guide. So obviously today's going to be number 1, right? We're going to watch examples from previous games. And then when I play Street Fighter 5, I'm going to have my notes up. I'm going to switch between the game and the notes so you guys can see it. And I'm going to type my feedback. So the way I train the Footsie's element is I do at least a minimum 100 games. 20 games maximum per day. 100, I have to do 100 games minimum, practicing that specific thing. And then I move on to the next element, which will be the next week, right? I had a really, really funny situation against a jury. Let me actually show you what happened. This is from yesterday. So this is me practicing element 1, which is what we're going to be seeing a lot of today, right? Is me practicing this. Is me dancing at the max range of her longest reaching poke, which is stand heavy kick, right? And look at this, just because of the influence of me standing and doing nothing, right? And because I whiff punished her so much leading up to this, you see, like, leading up to this moment, I'm just dancing around that stand heavy kick range, right? Not really doing anything. So you got the whiff punish there. And I was like, okay. I was trying to feint it, right? But I forgot that that stand beating punch has a lot of recovery. So it was pretty easy for that whiff punch. All right. Now watch this. Who do you know that could do something like that with Sagat? Now, obviously, Sagat's overhead is super slow, and Sagat's walk speed is super ass, right? So it's like, for me to do that, how the hell did I do that? How the hell did I walk up and overhead? Like, what the fuck? How is that even possible, right? To do that in this type of a sequence, but to do that against somebody that's also stunned, right? Because it's easy to just do it against somebody that's not stunned, has full health, or whatever. But how do you do this against somebody that's in this moment, potentially their most anxiety-induced state, right? Which is typically what happens near stun. Near stun, most people are just like, oh shit, I'm nervous as hell, right? So how the hell did I do this? It's all because of the influence that happened over here, right? Which is what I was talking to you guys about with the whole rock, paper, scissors of neutral when you introduce weighting, right? Which is what I was basically doing naturally in that element number 1 practice by me waiting and dancing around max distance range of a poke. My opponent is losing track of what I'm doing, right? So it's not like what I'm showing you guys is like the end all be all, right? Like, oh yeah, just do this all the time, it's gonna work. No, it's not always gonna work. But the thing is to just give you a form of consistency and direction, Let's check this out. I guess we could just start with the whole introduction since this is the first one, okay? So Footsie's Handbook. This was created on August 25th, 2013. Which is funny, that's my brother's birthday. So Footsies, let's begin. Footsies is old school slang for the mid-range, ground-based aspect of fighting game strategy. The ultimate goal is to control the flow of the match, bait the opponent into committing errors, and punish everything. Control the flow of the match is pretty big, especially in a game like Street Fighter 5. Bait the opponent into committing errors, which is where, you manipulate spacing, rhythm, tool set, so that way your opponent may accidentally open themselves up and be vulnerable, Nobody really talks about footsies in concrete terms because it's seen as a complex and elusive subject. Hopefully these articles will help change that perception, because anyone who wants to compete at tournament level absolutely needs to know this stuff. So you don't have to use it, but you have to be aware that it exists. Each installment covers 3 or 4 specific tactics which you can integrate into your game plan to achieve practical results. Think of it like one of those chess books showing common situations and how to solve each one. If you absorb enough of these pieces, suddenly you'll have a solid game plan. Okay, so is this making sense so far, guys? The importance of footsies is to basically have a conversation with your opponent that will convince them to take a certain action, and that action is punished, either on whiff, on block, or punished because you create a better situation from it because of lack of activity, lack of action is being taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be because your opponent does something. It could be because they didn't do something. You understand? So footsies is simply communication between players that convinces them to take a certain action that could be punished or to be inactive enough to be taken advantage of. All right, so let's begin with chapter 1. So we're only going to do one element, right? So there's usually like 3 to 5 in each one of these. So there's like a total of 39 or something. All right, so this is gonna take a while. This series is gonna go on for a while, okay? But I want to do this once a week, so that way I can be, you know, encouraged to practice it, and on top of that, it's something to look forward to. Footsies 101 begins with 3 universal concepts, axiomatic to all Street Fighter games. So if I like to look up words just to make sure we understand. Self-evident or unquestionable. Punishing whiff attacks, intentionally making yourself appear vulnerable, and using poke patterns to set up throws are all fundamental skills, okay? So that's what chapter 1 would be about, these 3 things, okay? So now let's click on it. Let's check this out. A lot of people make the mistake of assuming that footsies is something you whip up on the fly. While you certainly can do it that way, and while freestyling footsies is certainly a valuable skill, the fact of the matter is that Alex Valle knows more about footsies than you'll ever know. The real problem is that you don't even know that you're supposed to know these things. Footsies as a whole is such a dynamic, complex subject that is impossible to convey or grasp at once. So we're going to try something different. Let's approach footsies like a collection of situations and try to come up with elemental solutions to each scenario. So I think this is a key way to perceive it, so it's not scary. It's elemental solutions to contextual situations, right? To specific scenarios. So we're gonna begin element number 1. This is the one we're gonna work on for this week, and then next week we'll do element 2, element 3, yada yada yada. Okay. So I'm gonna practice these for at least 20 games, and I document my progress right here. Right. So this is when I was practicing. This is all element 1 so far, right? And every time I practice it, I document it like this, right? I do a tally mark. And I add 1 for every match, and the most games I can play is 20. Momentarily step into your opponent's poke range and quickly back out instead of attacking. This is Footsies 101. To see it in action, check out Mike Watson's Hyper Fighting Guile, demolishing some poor bastard 2 consecutive full rounds of toying with his opponent's natural reactions. This bait works well in intense matches rather, after extended periods of cautious zoning, or with charged characters who rarely walk forward, okay? So you see how it's very easy to level 1, you see the footsies element, you're like, oh, just walk in and out of range, right? But then what's really important about this is where it works really well. In very intense matches, right? So when is a match most intense? Well, when a player is near stun, they're a hit away from stun, a light attack away from stun, heavy attack away from stun, a throw away from death, right? Chip KO range. When you have access to V-trigger, that could be considered an intense moment. You have access now to an anti-fireball tool. Now I get tense. This is the Mike Watson Hyper Fighting Guile, all right? So now let's check this out. Mike Watson is playing Guile, okay? So remember the 3 elements we talked about. Walking forward in intense situations, walking forward after extended periods of zoning, or walking forward when you're a charge character, okay? So let's watch what he does. Let's check this out. Okay, right? So he's zoning. Okay, he's zoning. Look at him. He's max range, neutral jumps. Fireball walk. Look, walk up. Ooh, baits. Did you see that? Because in Street Fighter Turbo, I know it seems crazy as a Street Fighter 5 player. Whiffing DP like that in neutral, it's different because in hyper fighting in Turbo, it was a lot harder to get punished for whiffing DP. And when you whiff DP, it wasn't the end of the world when you got hit, right? Like, look at how much damage he took. Look, you see that? That's this is how much damage he took. I'm gonna leave my mouse right here, and then look. That's nothing, right? It's like, who cares? Like look, it was legit. Like, from where my finger is to where my mouse is. You see this? This is a joke. And Street Fighter 5, you whiff a DP? Swing, batter, batter, batter. You knock the fuck out of here with one button. This shit, get out of here. But you see how he went through this period of zoning, right? And then he just neutral jumps, fireballs, walks up, walks out, boom. Right? Look. Look at that. Nice. And you see, look at how he adjusted so quickly, right? By being proactive. You see how he neutral jumps? Fireballs. He does jab, fireball, right? After the neutral jump, right? Now look at the same situation. Neutral jump, whiff jab, he jumps. He was looking for it, see? And you know how he's looking for it? Because you saw him whiff crouching short after that, right? Look, he does whiff jab, whiff short. So this was already intentional because he did it while he was jumping. You know what I'm saying? So he already knew, like, okay. He feinted back to back. He didn't feint once and wait. He feinted back to back because he was so sure that this was the progression of the Yomi of the match, right? See, look. See that? Look at this. Whoop. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So does that situation make sense to you guys? The combination of zoning and he's a charge character. I fight away and I'm down backing. And he used those two things together to further entice the Ken player. Right? But the Ken player doesn't understand the situation. He just sees Guile getting close and he's just like, I'm going to do that. But if he understood what was happening, after the first situation, he would have been like, oh, I see what's happening here, right? And then you see the development was after the successful bait, right? Which was right here when he neutral jumped it. All right. So after he punished this, he does the neutral jump, right? Boop. So he does this, jab fireball, baits it, punishes it, uses this as an opportunity to set up his fireball. Right. Boom. Fireball immediately. Back fist. Boom. Okay. All right. So that's it for the demonstration of the element. Now we can actually play. All right. So we are going to do exactly that. All right. So now we're playing Folk. So let's keep trying this, right? Okay. Ah, okay. Ah, okay. So you see how at the end of that string, he keeps doing the forward heavy punch? So now I understand. Oh, okay. You're committing here. See? And now I can say, oh. Look at that. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Very little effort. And look what happened. You see that shit? You just understand people's timings. Look at that. Boom. Oh, no. But you see how easy that looked? I didn't do anything. I didn't do shit. Oh. Look, see? I just understand the timing. Ooh. Ah, okay. See? See that? I naturally understood his rhythm because I was so willing to understand him before putting my results and my victory at the forefront of my priorities. My whole thing is I gotta understand you. This is all I care about. Right? Okay. Wow. Whoa! This shit is kind of godlike, guys. It's nuts. And what's really dope about this, what I really truly stress and emphasize, is that obviously you guys know I'm a pretty skilled player, right? I practice a lot. I study a lot, more than a lot of players do. I have I think a unique mind for the game. But I get in my own way because of my effort. I try too hard, and then I don't let my subconscious mind do things. But you see how I'm only using my conscious effort to just learn him? I'm not using it to do anything fancy, right? But everything else is all my muscle memory. All those conversions, the whiff punishes, the anti-airs, the crush counters, getting in sync with his rhythm, that's all subconscious. So this is why simplifying your game plan is good. Like, obviously maybe you're not going to play like this when you first start off, but when you keep trying and learning new things, you add that to your arsenal. And when you get away from the things you're practicing, you're giving your brain time to chew and push it down into your subconscious.